So, says I'm live again here on YouTube. And this will be another installment of your Loonie Liberal Power Hour with your host, Lance Richards. And I was going to embark on how Donald Trump okeydoked you part 2. Part 2, but I didn't really know exactly how to spell it. Is it D-U-E-X or D-E-U-X? I don't know. So part 2. We have to first go with a summary of our last part 1. If you hadn't watched it, I discussed the difference between conservative and liberal, and I think that's at the very base and foundation of how he okeydoked you. He tried to make liberal people the bad guys, people that could think, people with open minds, people that tried to understand things and seeing different perspectives. He made it okay for you to be closed-minded and fearful. He made bad guys the good guys and the good guys the bad guys. It's basically what he did. There was a couple additions that I wanted to make in that thing, and I can't really remember them right now, so I'll have to come back to that at a later time. It'll all tie back in. All this stuff is going to tie back in, and it's all going to build on each other to show you how he okeydoked you, how he got you so to the point where you're a cult member, to the point where you're following Jim Jones or Charlie Manson or David Koresh or whatever cult leader that you want to find in history. Donald Trump is the ultimate cult leader. He built a cult in America, a 70 million people cult. Some are more hooked than others. Some are just hanger-oners. I think a considerable amount of them. It's like, okay, to summarize part 1 and to really bring it together is how did he make you believe that a punk-ass stupid rich boy was better to be the president than somebody who's been in the mix for years and years? Hillary was a first lady. She was a secretary of state. She was a senator. She's a lawyer. She knew her shit. She knows her shit. Whether you like her or you don't like her, she's been in the trenches for years and years doing work for us. And how did he convince you that him, a dumbass, stupid con man, rich boy businessman who never did anything good in his life, was better than Hillary? Well, of course, he okeydoked you with the liberal thing and the Democrat thing from part 1. He also okeydoked you with your misogyny. You didn't think that a woman could do that job. Didn't think a black man could do that job. So this is where part 2 deals with your prejudice, your bias, something that's been instilled in you that creates bias and prejudice for you. And it's going to center around things called preconceived notions. What preconceived notions are, folks, is something that you think that leads you to think other things. So, for instance, a very prime example of these preconceived notions is if you were raised to believe that black people are inferior, then that's going to lead you to believe that Barack Obama couldn't be president of the United States. If you were instilled with the notion that women are inferior and should be barefoot and pregnant, then that would lead you to believe that Hillary shouldn't be president, or Hillary here's a prime example of that. The whole Benghazi thing. This was your preconceived notions at work here. Because there's been multiple men have sent soldiers off to die, which was, they took an oath to defend America with their lives. And there's been multiple men that have sent them off to be just bullets. That they were just cushions for bullets. Them guys that stormed the beach at Normandy, they knew damn well when they send them boys in there that they were going to get mowed down. They were going to get mowed down by the thousands. And they sent them in there because they knew they had to get there. Now, for some reason, for some god-awful reason, you didn't think that it was okay for Hillary, a woman, to tell a soldier to do their job. And that okeydoked the shit out of you. And see, this is how he does it with your preconceived notions of patriotism. Patriotism was a big thing. This is how he led you to become a nationalist. He made you too patriotic. It started off with them guys kneeling. They wouldn't stand for the flag because they were protesting police brutality. And you guys are, oh my God, they're un-American because they're protesting the flag. Says who? Says who? Soldiers fight so you can protest. That's part of our basic freedom and luxury of being an American citizen, is the right to protest, to stand up or to kneel down and say, no, we're not taking this shit no more. And that's what he was doing. That's what Kaepernick did. And you guys crucified that guy. He got crucified for standing up for what he believed in, for exercising his absolute right to protest America and petition against America, to spit in the face of unrighteous authority. That's one of our absolute rights. That's what started us in the first place, folks, is that we were getting tired of the British rule, and they were taxing us without representation, and that pissed us off. So it was like, no, you can't do that shit no more. And we stood up and we took our freedom. It's a basic right. It's at the essence of America. It's a cornerstone, a foundation, big block of our foundation is the absolute right to stand up and spit in the face of our authority if we deem them to be unrighteous. And of course, we have to give good cause. We can't just say, you looked at me wrong, so I don't like that. No, you have to have a righteous reason. And I think police brutality is a very righteous reason. So let's get back to focus with it. Your preconceived notions. This is step 2. He okeydoked you with your preconceived notions. First and foremost, it was the underlying, lingering racism that is a big part of this country. See, what most people don't understand and they don't really realize is like I said in part 1, my parents learned in school. They read in their science books. It was a fact. A fact that black folks were inferior, that minorities were inferior, that females were inferior. This was a fact that my parents grew up with, that was instilled in them from an early age. They had preconceived notions of a black person being inferior, of a woman being inferior. These were things that were absolutely instilled in them. Now, of course, over time, they learned to hide it. You couldn't be way out in the open with it. Only really stupid, rabid racists. I mean, sure, you can be racist around your other racist buddies, and I've dealt with that. Like I said before, I grew up in a very rural area, surrounded by a bunch of hardworking, blue collar white people. That's where I was raised. So it was nothing to hear a black joke or to hear a Mexican joke. Now, of course, most of this is just fucking around. Like you've seen that movie with Clint Eastwood where they goes into the barber shop and they start calling each other Wop and Pollock and all that stuff. And yeah, that's guy banter. But there's degrees of it. Okay? If I'm going in and like George Jefferson and Archie Bunker calling each other a honky, or Archie just being a bigot. That was lighthearted humor kind of bigotry. But at the end of the day, Archie would always help out George, and George would help out. They were just being dicks to each other. But when that notion of inferiority becomes an agenda, like it has for the last 4 years, that's a different story. They want to talk about how everybody's too sensitive now and why can't we mess with each other? Well, we can't mess with each other because you guys take it seriously. You guys tell me a joke like, hey, how do you starve a black man? You hide his food stamps under his work boots. Ha, 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 that's really funny, but you really believe it. You really believe that all black people are lazy, that all black people are on food stamps, when they're not. It's absurd. You really believe that black people aren't as good as you. And you hide it with jokes. And you absolutely make them pay for your ignorant preconceived notions. And our society absolutely makes them pay for those preconceived notions. Now it's very complex. This is a complex these are complex things that I'm trying to break down tiny for you and build back up to enlightenment. This is going to be tough. It's like with the conservative and liberal notions. These are tough things to get your brain wrapped around, especially when you've been instilled thinking that liberal people are the bad guy. It's a dirty word. It's an insult. If that's your preconceived notion of what a liberal person is, it's tough to break through that ignorance and make you understand that I'm not the bad guy. I'm just the guy that has an open mind, that sees other perspectives, that comes together through understanding and good knowledge and finds the truth. And yeah, the truth is going to seem crazy to you because it doesn't mesh with your preconceived notions of how things really are in your brain. So let's get back to focus of part 2. Like I said, we'll be going back and forth between them. They're all going to tie together eventually. But part 2 is basically about your preconceived notions, about things that you already believe that lead you to believe other things. So you take something that is ignorant, like believing that black people and women are inferior. You take that ignorance and then you pile more ignorance on it. Okay? So you already believe that Barack Obama is a black man and he doesn't deserve to be in the White House. You might not say it like that, but that's what you believe inside. You believe that he's not worthy of that position in your bones, deep down inside of you, where you don't want to tell anybody yet. But it's not the truth. It's your ignorance. In fact, there's not too many people in this entire world that's more qualified to be the president of the United States than Barack Obama was. He was a constitutional lawyer. He taught constitutional law. He was absolutely qualified to do the job he did, and he did it very well. While everybody else was obstructing him and trying to stand in his way, and he still got shit done. He was a great, great president. But this was masterful by them. This was meat and bones, masterful okey-doke. And I don't know, honestly, I don't know if he really did it on purpose, if there was an agenda to this, or it was just like, shooting from the hip and going as he went. I don't know how he did it, but what happens is this just, it's like a snowball, and it rolls and rolls and rolls and rolls. And it starts with the first preconceived notion that you have that was instilled in you, probably by your parents, that black folks are inferior, that women are inferior. And in Obama's case, he also piled on the notion that Obama wasn't even born in America, that somehow he was a Muslim terrorist that was infiltrating America. He put that notion in your head on top of your already preconceived notion. Same with Hillary. Not only was she a woman that really shouldn't be doing that job, she was also the person that got them soldiers killed. And she don't care about soldiers, and she don't care about America. So see how he's piling ignorance on top of ignorance. And it's like a snowball that gets you rolling down that deplorable hill. Okay? Now, step one is if you think a person is inferior and not as good as you, the next step is to dehumanize them. Well, if they're not as good as me, well, they're not good enough to have any rights. So we can take away a woman's rights. We can take back those black people's rights. It's okay. They're the enemy. They're the bad guys. They're less than me. And see, that's why the Nazis were so empowered. All these American neo-Nazis were empowered by him because he spewed inferiority. He played on your preconceived notions and your bias and your prejudice. Another big one that he really, really took advantage of, and this is near and dear to my heart. I've been calling myself for the last 4 years the keyboard warrior for Jesus. And I believe that. I was raised Catholic. I'm a little Catholic boy. I'm baptized, communed, and confirmed, card-carrying Catholic boy. I love Jesus. I'm all about some Jesus. Jesus is a righteous, righteous message to me. And I will stand up and die for that message because I believe it. I believe what Jesus stands for. Now I take issue with my church. I take issue with religion, but I have faith in Jesus's message. And I think that Jesus's message is a righteous one in and of itself. It's a powerful message that saved humanity at one time, and it continues to do good things, even though it does bad things too. But that's neither here nor there. He took advantage of your preconceived notions of faith, which is, historically speaking, when you try to make God rule, that always ends bad. That always ends bad. Like we said in part one, conservative religion it becomes terrorism soon. If you're trying to shove your conservative religion down people's throats and rule people through God, that always ends bad. That's not a good recipe, ever. That's why we, as America, said you can't do that shit. We're separating church and state. You can't impose your God on us. We have freedom of religion and freedom from religion. You can believe whatever you want, but you can't make nobody else believe it. And that's why we did it. But Trump empowered the Christian right, said that they wanted to make America a Christian nation. And they played on these preconceived notions, and it goes back to the misogyny. A woman's just your rib, right? She's here to serve you. She's not here to be in charge of anything. A black person, the whole black mark with Cain, they're bad guys now because they're black. See, that's how they justify that shit. That's how those right-wing conservative Loonie Christians, that's how they justify their bullshit through the Bible. The Bible tells them that black people are inferior and women are to be beholden to them. These are their preconceived notions, and he piles that ignorance on top of each other, and they become proud of that ignorance. They're proud to impose their will. They're ready to become Christian soldiers marching off to war, which is just a fucking oxymoron. The Crusades were bad, folks. Imposing your God's will on others is bad. Because let me explain this to you. Let me break this down for you. Your preconceived notion of faith. What it leads to is the ultimate end of this is my God's better than your God. That's where you're going. That's where it always leads. So that's why you can't not in America. You can't let God rule people, because eventually God is going to say, okay, if you don't believe in my God, then you're not good enough. So that's why America don't let God rule. And when he empowered that notion and he piled that ignorance on top of that ignorance, it just became a snowball. And it was okay to take away women's rights all of a sudden. That was righteous. It's righteous to take away a woman's personal autonomy because your God said so. See, that's how it goes. That's how you get okeydoked and led astray. Is that you're piling your preconceived notion, your ignorance on top of more ignorance. So if a woman's just here to bear fruit, to be fruitful and multiply, for you, if that's a woman's only duty and that's what she's here for, then you have the right to regulate that. You have a right to make a woman give birth, which is bullshit in America. It's not true. It's not even close to the fucking truth. And you guys just go along and pretend like it is. And you're proud of it. And see, that's how he does it. That's how he did it. That's part of it. Because, and I've been telling deplorables this for 4 years. I respect your passion. I respect your tenacity because I have it too. I'm very passionate about what I believe in. I'm a passionate person. I have to calm myself down because sometimes I'm too passionate. I have a lot of tenacity. I will chew on something until it's gone. I am a tenacious son of a bitch. Sorry, Mom, but I'm a tenacious son of a bitch. And so I respect passion and tenacity. But you got to be careful about what you're being passionate and tenacious about. Okay? Like I said, I'm a rabid Jesus lover. I love Jesus. I love Jesus. I'll preach Jesus to you all day long, and I'll tell you that you should be thoughtful and kind and honest and fair and help the sick and help the weak. And all of these things, do unto others, and all these things that Jesus teaches you or tried to teach you. All these things I'm passionate about, and I'm tenacious, and I'll chew your arm off if you want to fight about this shit. But I'm not going to impose that on anyone. I'm not going to make anyone believe what I believe about Jesus. I'm just going to tell you what I think about it. I'm going to tell you that I think you're spitting in Jesus's face when I feel that you are. But hey, you're entitled to it. You go right ahead. I'll see you in hell. I'm not going to impose that on anyone else. I'm just going to stand up for what I believe in. The difference is now is they want to impose what they think Jesus believes. They want to impose on others. Here's the thing, guys. Yes, we have abortion. We have that service for women that might need it, but we're not making you get an abortion. Nobody ever makes you get an abortion. You choose to get an abortion. Okay? We don't, it's not a government sanctioned abortion clinic. If you want to give birth to your child, give birth to your child. If you decide for some god awful reason, it is probably a horrible decision for you. If you decide that you don't, you have this service that can help you. And it's logical. It's reasonable. It's something that we should just both understand. You should be tolerant of what other people may need. But then they come in with these memes and call you a baby killer. See what they have this preconceived notion that life starts at conception. That's a basic preconceived notion that most of these Christians have. Science tells you differently. I mean, logic and reason and science will tell you that that's not necessarily the truth. The potential for life starts at conception. The potential for life starts as soon as you ejaculate and there's an egg in the womb. That's when potential life starts. Then they mix together and it becomes a little bit more potential. But that's not life. You're not killing babies. Okay? They put that in your head that you're killing babies. So they're piling ignorance on top of your preconceived notion. And this just makes you more passionate. Because even me, I hear somebody's killing babies? I'm about ready to kill somebody. Because that's how I am about kids. I'm all about taking care of kids and protecting kids with my lives. Any kids. Especially mine, but any kids. That's what I'm all about. It's what I've always been all about. It's taking care of people. And I believe that children are our most precious resource by far in this world, in this country. So I'm all about protecting children. But I understand that if you're really pro-life, you care about the woman's life too. You care about the life that child will lead. Because see, here's the funny thing about all these pro-lifers. They care about that baby while it's in the mom. But as soon as that baby comes out of the mom, they don't give a shit about it. They don't want to help you feed it. They don't want to help you take care of it. They don't want to help you with the medical bills. They don't want to help you with anything, but they care that you give birth to that child. Don't make sense. It doesn't go together. It's inconsistent. That's how you know that it's illogical. That's how you know that it's preconceived ignorance piled upon more preconceived ignorance. It's easy to unravel. It's easy to show inconsistencies in. That's how you know that it's illogical, unreasonable, irrational. It's just your preconceived notions and your passion leading you astray and making you believe things that are not true. That's what he did. He knew exactly what string to tug on you. Okay? He tugs on your patriotic strings, tugs on your faith strings. He tugs on your preconceived notions about what a black person is and what a woman is. And he scares you with the Mexican immigrants. And he scares you with all these preconceived notions that you have. And he takes advantage of it and he makes you scared. You're scared. You're scared the black man's going to lead us to socialism. You're scared the woman is un-American and she's a socialist too. You're scared that Mexicans are going to come over the border and just take over the whole world. You're scared of everything. It makes you fearful. And that's part of the step. He plays on your preconceived ignorance. And he makes you afraid. He makes you afraid of everything. And everybody that doesn't believe what you believe. So it's okay that you got racists over here. It's okay for them Christians that they're standing next to a bunch of Nazis and Confederates. Because they're so fucking scared and so fucking okey-doke and so passionate and closed-minded, it all goes together for them somehow. Yeah, it's okay that, yeah, these guys over here waving these Nazi flags and Confederate flags, they're my buddies. They're my deplorable buddies over here. Yeah, I believe in Jesus. I love Jesus. Jesus would think these guys were cool too. How does that make sense to you? You know there's black Christians too, right? It's just the last 4 years has been so absurd. I haven't used the word absurd so many times in my life combined than I have in the last 4 years. Just mountains and mountains and mountains of absurdity just being just pounded into people. Absurd. It's absurd, absurd, absurd. Back to focus. Preconceived notions. How he used your preconceived notions to okey-doke you. How he took things that was instilled in you that you believed that was just dead wrong. Just wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong to believe that black people are inferior. It's wrong to believe that females are inferior. It's wrong to be a white supremacist. It's wrong to believe that people are not allowed to protest in America. These are wrong notions. You're allowed to believe it, but you're not allowed to impose that belief on everyone else. You're allowed to be wrong if you want to be wrong, but you can't make everybody else wrong too. And basically, that's what you guys have been doing for 4 years, folks. I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm trying to make you understand that, yes, you're wrong. Yes, you've done some very, very bad things for some things that you believe in foolishly. You foolishly believe to this day. Still people think that birther bullshit is right. It's so embedded in them now. They're so okeydoked about the notion of Obama. I mean, Obama's already been president. He's he did his 8 years. He's out, but yet they're still trying to say that Obama wasn't even American. He was a Muslim terrorist, and he's leading us to, communism, which is just bullshit. It's absurd horseshit. They still believe that Donald Trump would be a better president. They believe that Donald Trump was the best president ever. And he was the worst by far. It's just mind-boggling. And that's why it's so hard to dissect and hopefully make you understand someday. It's just crazy. It's absurd. It really is. Twilight Zone. Do. But back to focus. Your preconceived notions. Another one that they did is they played on your ignorance in regards to political parties. They tried to pull this whole bullshit where, well, the Democrats started the KKK, and the Democrats are the racist ones, and they're the ones that are racist and hate everybody. No. No. That's ignorance. You're ignorant of political parties and the history of them. Like I said in part 1, the Southern Democrats that created the KKK and were slave owners, they were conservative-minded people, just like you deplorables. They didn't want to change. They wanted to cling on to their ignorance of slavery and owning slaves and treating people unequally in America. They were the conservative people, like you are now. Okay? They're the ones that started the KKK. They're the ones that became terrorists. They're the ones that created the Confederacy and waged civil war against America. Conservative-minded people. It had nothing to do with being Democrats. They just happened to be Southern Democrats. So now you honestly believe that we're the bad guys. So this is how he takes your... They instilled you with preconceived notions because obviously you guys never studied politics or studied history, obviously. Because if you can be made to believe that horse shit, then obviously you didn't look too in depth. You didn't think about it too much. You didn't build your knowledge. You just took whatever somebody spewed at you and didn't just took it as the word of God. See, that's another thing. Conservative-minded people are easy to okey-doke because they have a closed mind. Once something's in there, it's hard to get it out. Okay? So once he told you that them Democrats, they started the KKK, well, then that just stayed in there and festered. Yeah, they're the racist. Yeah. Made you believe that bullshit. Liberal-minded people are open-minded to other perspectives, and that includes black people's perspectives and women's perspectives and Muslims' perspectives. We're not prone to be racist. Conservative people are prone to be racist because it's easy to instill shit in their head and it'll just stay in there and rattle around. And it won't go nowhere. And nothing else will get in to enlighten it. So you guys were easy marks. Basically, that's what it comes down to, folks. I mean, past all the rigmarole, your mindset, your conservative views and conservative beliefs and conservative mindset makes it easy to okey-doke you. It makes you an easy mark. It's not hard to convince you because all he does is play on your fears. He plays on your preconceived notions. And that's how he builds a cult. He plays on your weakness. He plays on your ignorance. And that was step 2. Okay? The first step, like I said, was the fact that you were conservative minded. You were fearful of change. You were very closed minded and didn't see other perspectives. Most people were easy to okey-doke because a lot of people are Christian, conservative Christians. They have a bleeding heart, and you can pull on that string and by telling people that, oh, they're a bunch of baby killers. Them liberals want to kill all our babies. Hillary doesn't love our troops. Barack Obama is a Muslim terrorist. All these things are easy because you love America. You love Jesus. But you're ignorant. And you're closed-minded. And you don't try to look in depth. You don't try to see other perspectives. You just cling on to the perspective that makes the most sense to you. And 9 times out of 10, it's ignorant. And that is basically step 2. Basically. Now, let's try to reinforce it. Let's try to come back around town and start from scratch again. Like I say, reinforcement is important. You always wonder why teachers, when you were a little kid, kept saying the same thing over and over again. You had to do the same math problems over and over again. You had to learn and then take a test, and then they'd quiz you on it later. It's called reinforcement, folks. Reinforcement is a teacher's best friend. It's its best tool. A teacher's best tool is reinforcement. They keep pounding it in your brain until you get it. Now, the funny thing is that could be used in other ways. That's why he kept saying the same lies over and over again, too. He kept pounding the same bullshit in your brain over and over again. Put Hillary in jail. Put Hillary in jail. Obama's in birther. Benghazi, birther, Benghazi. They just kept pounding the same bullshit in your head over and over and over and over again. And it stuck. But the key to a good teacher is he keeps pounding true stuff in your head. He keeps pounding the right stuff in your head until it sticks. And then good stuff builds on top of that good stuff. But if you pound shitty stuff in somebody's head over and over again, it just grows more shitty stuff. See the difference? So let me reinforce some good stuff for you again. Okay? First, back to part 1. Conservative-minded people are closed-minded and fear change. They don't want to change. They're afraid of it. They don't want to hear what anybody else has to say. They only care about what they say. They only care about what they think and their perspective. And it's okay to be that way. I mean, I don't think I've said it, but there's certain instances that I'm rooted in conservative ideals. Like I said, I was raised a Catholic boy. You don't get much more conservative religion than that, my friends. So I'm rooted in conservative ideals. I believe that we should pull that liberal back every once in a while. The liberals can get crazy too, but not like conservatives do. Conservatives get extreme real easy. Liberal minds, they tend to get out there sometimes, but conservative roots bring them back. That's what makes me effective, is because I'm rooted in conservative ideals, but I have a liberal mind. So my conservative ideals are always tugging my liberal back. And whoa, easy, boy. Don't get too crazy. All right. And that's how I view America. America should have righteous conservative ideals holding that liberal back, but it still needs to give that liberal room to breathe and grow for America. It's basically how America should roll, in my eyes. And I think in our forefathers' eyes. They wanted us to be rooted conservatively with our ideals, but we also need a liberal mind to grow. But back to focus. Part 2. Your preconceived notions. Ignorance that was already instilled in you. Ignorance that you believe, that you're passionate about. These things were easy to play on. He knew what they were. These guys knew what they were doing. Remember back when they had O'Bannon? O'Bannon was extreme. See, that's the thing. You got all these extreme right-wing conservative pulpits out here. Alex Jones, Rush Limbaugh, Hannity, Tucker Carlson, all these fucking right-wing conservative, plus you got, Billy Graham and, Pat Robertson and all these Christian right people. They have all these people to feed your ignorance. Fox News was just a propaganda machine for the right wing. And that's how they threw gas on your ignorance fire for the last 4 years, is they kept feeding your ignorance. They kept feeding them preconceived notions. They kept building it and just building rage, passion, tenacity. Now you got a bunch of deplorables out there that want to shoot everybody if they don't get what they want. That's where it's led to. Little by little by little by little, they turned you into a rabid cult. And we defeated you democratically through our righteous votes. And that's where we're at right now. In the middle of this mess that your ignorance created. Your conservative-minded, preconceived notions of what was true and what's not true. But it's just true to you. That don't mean it's true. That don't mean it's the truth. That just means it's true to you. So, see, this is a tough one, guys. This we're going to have to keep referring back to certain things. Like I said in the beginning, one of the first things, and I think this is important, and it should be the first thing, is the difference between conservative and liberal. I don't want to say one's good, one's bad, because they're not. Sometimes a liberal mind can get bad. I mean, them atomic bombs were bad. A liberal mind led us to create atomic bombs, and that was not a good thing. I wish we could take that one back, but it's happened. Conservative ideals, like respecting your elders and, these kind of things. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. These conservative ideals that we're rooted in is important. It's important to play off of each other, to make each other honest. I'm not saying conservative and liberal is good and bad, essentially. I'm saying that the conservative people right now are the problem because they've gotten way too extreme with their conservative notions. They want to drag America back to a time when things made sense to them. They want to bring they don't want black people to be in charge. They don't want women to be in charge. They would rather be scared. They don't want to have to worry about no one else because it scares them. They don't want to have to take care of anybody else because they're afraid that they're not going to get something. And that's where we're at right now. And it's extreme to the point where they just leave people to die in the middle of a pandemic. They don't care about 250,000 people have died from a virus that we could very well take care of if we got together and did it. This is how they lead you to dehumanize people. You want to know how Hitler got people to dehumanize people to the point where they were okay with genocide? This is how. Played on their passion, played on their ignorance, played on their conservative ideals, played on their fear, made them fear everyone. That's how he destroyed democracy in Germany. And that's how they're trying to destroy democracy in America. It's the same shit, different generation. That's what you conservatives are doing. Same shit, different generation. And I understand how it's hard for you guys to get your brains wrapped around it because you can't even get your brains away from the shit that's in there. You were instilled with ignorance, and then he just threw gas on that ignorant fire for 4 years. And now you're convinced. You're completely convinced. And you're okeydoked. You are bamboozled, run amok, led astray. You are outside your mind with ignorance, un-American things, truly unchristian things. You think Jesus likes some of the shit you do? Some of the shit he's done? You honestly want to sit here and tell me that you think Jesus would like Trump? Have you lost your fucking mind? Do you honestly think that the forefathers would have thought that what Trump's doing, George Washington would be happy about him lingering and being a dick and not conceding? He lost. He lost. Real bad. Fair and square. And he wants to hang around and throw a little fit. You think George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and all these guys, Benjamin Franklin and all these people would be proud and think, yeah, Trump's a good dude? Seriously, he's the greatest. You realize that presidents overcame depressions and world wars. And he's ignoring a pandemic that's killing 250,000 of his people. Just ignoring it. Like it doesn't even matter. Like it doesn't even exist. And he's got you people believing that it doesn't matter. That it's no big deal. That people are dying simply because you won't help protect them. You refuse to protect them. See, that's how far outside your mind he's got you. Is that you're willing to sacrifice people for your ignorance. And then you got the nerve to call us the bad guys for caring about people. You got the nerve to call us bad guys for trying to understand people and see other perspectives and try to find the real truth. That's where we're at. And it's because of you. I hope you realize that. Yes, I am going to continue to pound that in your brain. I'm going to continue to reinforce that truth that you are the bad guy this time. If you still defend that man or promote that man or like that man, if you voted for that man, You're the bad guy right now. And I can break it down for you, and I'll continue to break it down for you. And I'll try to help you understand it and come to terms with it and really know why I'm saying what I'm saying and how what I'm saying is true. I'll continue to do that in a nicer way than I'd done it before. I'm going to try and be nice about it now. I want to be nice. Like I've said, you guys aren't in charge no more. So, I don't really have to be in fight mode. I can come back to where I'm more comfortable, which is enlightenment mode. And don't get me wrong, I can scrap if I have to scrap, but I'd rather be enlightening. I'd rather be a teacher. I'd rather try to help you understand instead of fighting against your ignorance. Now I don't have to fight against your ignorance no more because we won. We won that fight. It's only a matter of time before Smoking Joe's in there and Kamala's in there, and we go and we start to be able to ignore the bullshit for a while and just do what's right for our country, for the people in our country, and quit trying to cater to white conservative Christian nationalists. Because that's pretty much what you deplorables are. And if you think that you don't subscribe to these notions, if you really don't think that you're a racist, okay, then why do you let racists be on your side? Well, maybe you're not a conservative religion Christian. Okay, then why do you let them people terrorize people with their religious notions? If you don't really think you're a Nazi or a Confederate, okay, well, why do you say that that's okay for other people on your side to be? One thing is true. If you stand by and you watch injustice happen, you're just as bad as the perpetrator. If you sit and watch somebody rape a woman, you might as well go over there and rape her too. If it's okay for somebody to do bad shit on your side, then you're on the bad side. And you have to come to terms with that. You have to come to the realization that if it's okay for people on your side to say crimes against humanity are okay, then guess what? Pretty soon you're going to be saying that the crimes against humanity that you commit are okay. If the Holocaust was okay and slavery was okay, then what's going to be okay next? Tell me. Make me understand. Make me see how I'm wrong, like I'm making you see how you're wrong. I don't mind feedback. I love feedback. I want to get into this. Tell me how I'm wrong. Make me see how the Confederacy was okay. Make me see how Nazis are okay. Make me see how taking a woman's autonomy away is okay. Make me see how putting kids into cages is okay. Make me see how it's okay to discriminate against transgenders, homosexuals. Make me see how women are inferior. Make me see how black people are inferior. Make me understand. Here I am, anytime. Make me see. Make me know how you're right and I'm wrong. Because I'll continue to tell you how you're wrong. I'll tell you why. I'll show you how. In undeniable fashion. Now, that was about an hour, and that one went by good. The last one drug, but this one went by good. It flowed pretty good, and I think that I got out some good stuff for you. And I just want you to know that I'm here to teach. I'm here to help enlighten you to how Trump okeydoked you. It's an important thing that we have to figure out moving forward. Because we can't continue to let this shit happen, folks. We can't continue to allow a punk ass piece of shit rich boy, stupid, ignorant, con man like that to be in charge of us again and lead so many of us astray with his ignorance. We can't allow that to happen anymore. We can't leave a world where that could happen to our children or their children. We have to get back to where logic and reason and truth guide us, not ignorance and preconceived notions and conservative-minded bullshit. We have to find a way to keep truth. We need to find a way to help the ignorant people see what's true. Truth has to matter, folks. It has to matter. Logic, reason lead to truth, and it has to matter. We have to stand up for what's true. And we have to fight against what's not true. That's our battle. That's our sacred duty, our civic duty to America, to make sure that America stays righteous and on the path of truth. We want to hold these truths to be self-evident. And that's been my hour. I hope it enlightened you. I hope that you can rewind it and watch it and thoughtfully ponder it and be honest and fair and just. These things are important notions. These things lead to truth. Righteous pillars of America. We got to keep them sacred. And we got to try to live by them no matter how hard it can be sometimes. This ain't going to be easy. This grand experiment of ours is not going to be an easy undertaking. We have to be willing to sacrifice and fight and work to understand. You're willing to go out there and die for America, but you're not willing to think hard? Think. Open your mind. Throw away your ignorance and preconceived notions and cognitive dissonance. Throw away these things. Focus on finding what's true again. And we'll build back better, like Joe says. Joe's going to bring us back to the good road. And it's not going to be perfect, and we're not going to succeed overnight, but we got to chip away. They tried to chip away at American democracy for 4 years, and now we got to build it back up. We got to establish the fact that this is the truth again. And we'll do it. We'll keep working at it. As always, stay safe, be kind, be good to each other, be honest, be fair. Try to be a good person. Be strong. Stand up for what's right. Stand up against bullies. Stand up and say, hey, man, we got to take care of each other. Whether we like each other sometimes or not, we still got to take care of each other and take care of this country and our righteous notions. I love you. That's been over my hour. Dumbass out.